Large or small, has one house, it seems, that everybody says is haunted.
But paranormal investigators say there is one house that's more active than any they've ever seen.
News Channel 3's Jamie Tucker is in Vicksburg, Mississippi with a frightening ghost story.
If a city has earned the right to be haunted, it's Vicksburg, Mississippi. As many as 50,000 soldiers were killed during the siege of Vicksburg, called the turning point of the Civil War. Many of them died in a house called Duff Green.
I would think dozens, if not hundreds, of soldiers died in this house or on the property.
Now one of the South's premier bed and breakfasts, Duff Green was once one of Vicksburg's finest homes.
This mansion was built back in 1856. During the Civil War, it was hit by Union cannonballs at least 5 times. In order to save their home, the owners converted it into a hospital for Confederate and Union troops. And what's more, they turned their kitchen into an operating room.
And I'm sure you've heard the story of where
Owner Harry Sharp says back then, about the only operating they could do was amputations.
So they were performing all these amputations so fast and furious that at one point the adjacent rooms were stacked all the way to the ceiling with amputated limbs, arms, legs, feet, hands, and whatnot.
That operating room is now a bedroom called the Dixie.
And I can't imagine that many survived, because Lord knows how many died.
Tour guide Liv Gasaway says guests often sense something in this room, and sometimes it's more than they can handle.
There was a couple that were checking in, and the lady, as it turned out, she was a nurse. And she stayed in that room a few minutes and came out and said, "I've got to have another room." She said, "I can't stay here." She could smell gangrene.
More than 50 guests have seen a Confederate soldier sitting in front of the fireplace, clutching his amputated leg. There are other ghosts in this house. Duff and Mary Green's daughter Annie died at a young age, but some nights you can hear her bouncing a ball down the stairs. She's been seen at least once.
I had one guest who had a young son staying with him, and he was very young, maybe 2 or 3, and the father woke up and saw the little boy going like this, and he asked the little boy what he was doing, and he said he was throwing the ball to Annie.
The breakfast cook sometimes feels an invisible hand rubbing her shoulder. Harry Sharp says one night he not only sensed Mary Green's presence, he saw her.
I was at the sink, and I saw something out of my right eye, and I looked over, and I saw this woman, very hazy, floating past the door. And she had on an antebellum style gown, light green in color, and I just saw it as clear as day.
One employee came face to face with the ghost as she arrived for work one morning. She still doesn't like talking about what she saw.
I stopped. I saw shadows over in the ballroom, and I stuck my head in and I heard music playing, and they was just twirling around, twirling.
But the most chilling proof that someone or something haunts Duff Green comes from a crime scene investigator. Visiting the house recently, he took a snapshot of the architecture, but what he got was a ghost.
And sure enough, it's the figure of a man. And it looks like he's either got a morning coat on or some sort of a uniform, and perhaps even a sash.
Footsteps and closing doors are heard daily at Duff Green. Locked doors are even known to swing open. They believe Mary Green loved this house so much, she can't leave.
I'm a little more humble, or a lot more humble than I used to be when I thought you were just nuts if you believed all this stuff.
Too much happens here, they say, for it to be anything other than a ghost. The ghost of a soldier looking for his lost leg, and of a woman who still loves to dance. On the other side, in Vicksburg, Mississippi, Jamie Tucker, News Channel 3.
A woman's children grew up and left home about 100 years ago, but she's still in the family house. Empty rocking chairs rock and drawers open on their own. And those are just a few of the weird things at another antebellum home. That's not so bad, but wait till you hear what happens when the motherly ghost actually shows herself. We'll have her frightening tale at 6 in another News Channel 3 ghost story.